Some men stay stuck for years, not because of bad luck, but because they keep negotiating with their weakness. They trade discipline for distraction, trade clarity for comfort, and every time they fold, they call it just one more time. That's not weakness, that's self-betrayal, and it's killing your potential, quietly, slowly, every single day. You see, nobody wakes up one day and becomes weak. It happens piece by piece every time you hit snooze on your purpose. Every time you say, not today. Every time you wait for motivation instead of mastering discipline. And by the time you realize it, your life has become a collection of wasted moments, broken promises, and potential you never touched. In this video, you won't hear soft advice. No fluffy motivation. No morning affirmations to make you feel good for 5 minutes. You'll hear 12 brutal Stoic rules forged in ancient fire, backed by modern truth that will challenge everything soft in you. These rules are uncomfortable, but they're honest. They'll force you to choose comfort or strength, peace or power, victim or warrior. Because your life is not going to change just because you want it to. It changes when you become the kind of man who earns that change in silence, in struggle, through brutal honesty and relentless action. I don't care what your job is, what you've lost, who broke you. The only thing you control, the only thing you've ever truly controlled is your mind. And that's where we begin. Rule 1. Stop negotiating with your weakness. You say you'll start tomorrow. You say just one more time. You say it's not a big deal. But every time you do that, you're not making a harmless excuse. You're casting a vote for the weakest version of yourself, one that craves comfort more than growth, one that confuses indulgence with self-love. Here's the brutal truth. Every time you choose the easier path, you're not just delaying progress, you're rewiring your brain to expect ease, to fear resistance, and to fold under pressure. This isn't philosophy, it's neuroscience. Your brain releases dopamine when you pick the easy thing. Hit snooze? Dopamine. Open your favorite distraction instead of doing deep work? Dopamine. Text that person you know you should have let go? More dopamine. Meanwhile, the amygdala, the part of your brain wired to protect you, screams every time you try to break the cycle. Don't get uncomfortable. Don't take the risk. Don't feel pain. But here's what the Stoics knew. Comfort weakens you. Struggle shapes you. Every hardship resisted is another layer of mental armor. And if you want to start rebuilding that armor, it starts with drawing a line in the sand, your no-compromise list. These are the rules that are non-negotiable no matter how you feel. No snooze button. No social media before noon. No texting people who drain your energy. No food that fogs your brain. No pity parties. Ever. Why? Because clarity is power, and when you remove negotiation, you remove weakness. You want self-respect? Start keeping the promises you make to yourself when no one is watching. Start showing up on the days you feel nothing but resistance. That's where real pride is built. Not when it's easy, when it's brutal. If that rule offends you, good. Growth isn't supposed to be comfortable. But here's the truth. Weakness isn't just about the choices you make. It's also about the emotions you let control you. Because if you can't control your reactions, someone else will. Rule 2. Control your reactions or be controlled. You think you're in control. But the truth is, most people are just reacting to words, to moods, to stress, to other people's energy. And every time you react without awareness, you hand over the keys to your peace. You become a puppet, and anyone who knows the right string to pull can own your state of mind. You snap at a small comment. You spiral after a text. You get passive-aggressive because someone didn't reply fast enough. That's not strength. That's slavery to your own emotions. The Stoics understood this long before psychology gave it a name. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. The insult didn't hurt you, your story about it did. The silence didn't ruin your day, your interpretation of it did." So what do? You build emotional distance. You train the pause. Here's a practical framework. Pause. Label. Choose. 1. Pause. The moment something triggers you, breathe. Step back. Don't respond yet. 2. Label. Name the emotion. This is anger. This is shame. Labeling turns chaos into clarity. 3. Choose. Now ask, what would the strongest version of me do here? And do that. Not what your ego wants, not what your emotions scream, what your highest self would do. Let's make this real. Imagine you're in an argument with your partner. They say something that hits a nerve. You feel disrespected. Your heart rate spikes. The urge to raise your voice kicks in. Default mode. You fire back. The fight escalates. Nothing is solved. Stoic mode. Pause. I'm feeling attacked. But is that the truth or just my ego? You breathe. You ground yourself. You respond, not react. And just like that, you diffuse what could have become an emotional bomb. That's not weakness, that's power. Because anyone can lash out. Anyone can panic. But the person who holds center, who remains calm while others lose their head, becomes the leader, the anchor, the unshakable force in the room. This isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering your response to them. Because when you stop giving power to every trigger, you become a man who's hard to provoke and impossible to manipulate. When was the last time you chose discipline over emotion? But controlling your emotions isn't enough, not if you keep avoiding what's hard. Because the next step isn't just about calm, it's about courage. Rule 3. Do the hard things, especially when you don't feel like it. Let's drop the illusion. You will never feel ready. You will never want to do the hard things. And that's exactly why you must do them. The Stoics didn't believe in waiting for the perfect time. They believed in choosing the difficult path on purpose. Because they knew that every time you do what's hard, you build something far more valuable than comfort. You build character. Marcus Aurelius still woke up before dawn to write and reflect, even as emperor. Epictetus taught philosophy after being enslaved and crippled. Seneca wrote about inner peace while surrounded by corruption. None of them were waiting for motivation. They moved through resistance daily. Here's what they knew. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a decision. Anyone can act when it's easy. But warriors act when it's hard, when the alarm rings at 5 a.m., when the body aches, when the voice in your head says, just skip it today. And that's exactly where strength is born. Not in ease, in resistance. So how do you build this into your life? Start a daily discomfort plan. One challenge per day that makes you stronger. Wake up earlier than you want. Take the cold shower. Say no to something tempting. Sit in silence for 20 minutes. Have the hard conversation. Each act is a rep for your mind. A reminder that your feelings don't run the show, you do. Because here's the truth. Most won't admit. Growth is not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to feel like sweat, hesitation, self-doubt, and choosing the hard road anyway. And the people who succeed, the ones who rise, they don't wait to feel like it. They do it especially when they don't feel like it. So the next time you feel resistance, don't run. Lean in. Smile at the challenge. Do it anyway. Let's get even more uncomfortable. Because even if you start doing hard things, You won't get far if your mind is constantly pulled in every direction. And that's why the next rule might be the most urgent one in today's distracted world. Rule 4. Cut the noise, master your focus. Here's a brutal truth. Every time you check your phone mid-task, scroll without thinking, or bounce between meaningless tabs, you're not just losing time, you're losing your future. Because attention is not free, it's the currency of your life, and every time you give it away to noise, gossip, or digital distractions, you're making a deal trading your potential for cheap dopamine. Seneca said, "If you are everywhere, you are nowhere." That was 2,000 years ago. Imagine what he'd say today. Notifications, messages, opinions, trends we're drowning in noise. And still wondering why we feel so anxious, confused, and unfulfilled. The Stoics didn't chase noise, they sought clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman." That means single tasking, deep work, focus like a blade. Want to build a life that matters? Then build a distraction-proof mindset. Here's how. Number seeing of the news in proof to vax, when having a replace and build. Step 1. Time blocking. Schedule your day in blocks. Don't try to get things done. Define when and for how long. Step 2. Deep work rituals. One task. No phone, no multitasking. Minimum 60 minutes. Protect this space like your life depends on it, because it does. Step 3. Digital boundaries. No notifications. No endless inbox checks. No quick scrolls that eat your afternoon. Still think it's not a big deal? Try this. Spend just 1 hour with no phone, no music, no tabs, just you and your thoughts. Can you even do it? Most people can't, and that's the problem. Because if you can't control your attention, you can't control your future. A scattered mind builds nothing, but a focused mind, it builds empires. Can you spend 1 hour with nothing but your thoughts? But even with focus, most people still stay small, not because they lack potential, but because they crave approval. And that's the next trap we need to destroy. Rule 5. Stop seeking approval. Here's a painful paradox. We want to be strong, but we fear judgment. We crave freedom, but we beg for validation. The truth is, the more you need to be approved by others, the easier it is to lose yourself. Marcus Aurelius said it best. We love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. That contradiction? It's why so many men stay stuck saying yes when they want to say no, chasing praise instead of purpose, living a life designed by everyone but themselves. Here's the brutal reality. You cannot fix your life while still asking for permission to grow. Because growth threatens comfort. Your discipline will offend the lazy. Your boundaries will trigger the insecure. Your silence will be misunderstood as arrogance. But that's not your problem. Most people don't need your success, they need your conformity. So they'll guilt you when you change. They'll label your self-respect as selfishness. That's when you must hold the line. Because every time you fold to be liked, you betray the future version of yourself. So how do you stop seeking approval? Step 1. Define your non-negotiables. What values will you never trade for acceptance? Write them, etch them into your daily choices. Step 2. Set boundaries and keep them. Don't explain, don't apologize. A boundary isn't an attack, it's a declaration of self-worth. Step 3. Learn to live with guilt. Yes, guilt will come. That's normal when you break free from people-pleasing, but guilt is not the same as wrongdoing. It's just the echo of old habits dying. And here's what the Stoics knew. If you live for the crowd owns you. But if you live by virtue, by discipline, truth, and alignment, you may lose approval, but you gain something far greater: peace. So let them misunderstand you. Let them gossip, let them doubt. You're not here to be palatable. You're here to become unshakable. The path of growth is often misunderstood. Walk it anyway. But once you stop needing their approval, a new power emerges, one that doesn't speak loudly, but speaks volumes. Silence. Let's talk about it. Rule 6. Let silence speak for your strength. In a world addicted to noise, silence has become a superpower. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants the last word. But the Stoic knows power isn't proven by volume, it's revealed by restraint. Epictetus said, "Let silence be your general rule," or say only what is necessary and in few words. That's not passivity. That's precision. That's control. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Because the one who speaks less, listens more, learns more, holds the room without needing to dominate it. Silence makes you unreadable, and unreadable men are unshakable. You don't need to react to every insult. You don't need to prove yourself in every argument. You don't need to justify every move you make. That's emotional slavery. And emotional slavery is weakness. Instead, train the power pause. It's simple. Step 1. The moment you feel triggered, pause. Step 2. Label the emotion silently. Name it: anger, fear, pride. Step 3. Choose your response with calm intention or say nothing at all. Example: someone criticizes you in front of others. Old you: instant defensiveness, raised voice, tension. New you: you pause, you breathe. You look them in the eye not to argue, but to disarm them with stillness. That unnerves the petty, and it inspires respect from the disciplined. Because here's the truth: not everything requires a response. Not every opinion needs your attention, and not every moment is worth your energy. When you speak less, you conserve strength. You stop leaking power through useless arguments, over-explaining, and verbal noise. You let your presence say what your words no longer need to. Lions don't roar all day. They act. And when you do speak, when you finally break the silence, it should come from a place of radical ownership, not blame, not shame. Just truth. Let's talk about that next. Rule 7. Own your mistakes without shame or excuses. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. And yet, most people spend their entire lives blaming others, rewriting the past, or hiding behind fragile excuses. But no one ever rebuilt their life by running from responsibility. You don't grow by avoiding your reflection. You grow by facing it. The Stoics understood this. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Meaning, the friction of your failures is not your enemy, it's your sculptor. Here's the brutal truth. You messed up. You stayed too long in the wrong relationship. You broke your own standards. You lied. You quit. You drifted. Fine. Now what? Don't drown in shame. Rise in ownership. And here's how. Step 1. Admit. Say it plainly. No softening, no justifying. I failed. Say it like a warrior, not a victim. Step 2. Audit. What led to that moment? What beliefs, what patterns, what fears kept you stuck? You cannot fix what you don't examine. Step 3. Act. Make one real, irreversible step forward. Not talk, not ideas. Action. Take the story of a man who lost everything. His business collapsed. He went bankrupt. He could have blamed the market, his investors, the economy. Instead, he picked up a journal. And every single day, he wrote, what I did wrong, what I learned, what I'll do better. That journal didn't change his past, it rewired his future. Because that level of self-honesty built back his clarity, his courage, his vision. Mistakes are not the end. They're your beginning if you own them. Most people confuse ownership with shame. They think admitting a mistake means staying small. But it's the opposite. Shame keeps you stuck. Ownership sets you free. Shame whispers, "You'll never change." Ownership declares, "Watch me." Mini hook. Shame keeps you stuck. Ownership sets you free. Transition to Rule 8. But what happens when owning your truth brings pain? What do you do when growth feels like suffering? The Stoics had an answer for that too, and it starts with your relationship to discomfort. Rule 8, discomfort is your teacher. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid discomfort. They run from it, numb it, distract themselves from it. But the Stoics knew the truth. Discomfort isn't punishment, it's preparation. Seneca said, "Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen." Why? Because every uncomfortable moment holds a hidden lesson if you stop running long enough to listen. Here's what the world won't tell you. Growth only lives on the other side of discomfort. Not in your comfort zone, not in your routine, not in ease, but in resistance. Let's break it down with a powerful model. Comfort, fear, learning, growth. That's the path. But most people never leave the first stage. They stay in comfort, and the moment life pushes back, they retreat. Why? Because they mistake safety for strength. But safety doesn't build warriors. Struggle does. You want a stronger body? You tear it in training. You want a sharper mind? You challenge it with pressure. You want inner peace? You sit with your darkest feelings, not silence them with noise. But here's the trap. The world is designed to make you comfortable. One tap for food, one scroll for distraction, one swipe to avoid being alone. And every time you give in, you get weaker. So how do you flip the script? You voluntarily walk into discomfort. You train for it. Try this. Cold showers every morning. 10 kilometers walks with just your thoughts. Fasting once a week. Silence for 1 full hour a day. Say no when you usually say yes. Speak the truth even when your voice shakes. Not to prove something. Not to look tough, but to remind yourself. Pain is a tool, not a threat. Because here's the real lesson. That breakup was building detachment. That rejection was building humility. That delay was building patience. That silence was building focus. Are you addicted to comfort or committed to growth? But pushing through discomfort requires more than just willpower. It takes structure. It takes repetition. It takes something far greater than motivation, and that's exactly where we go next. Rule 9. Build discipline. Greater than motivation. Most people are obsessed with motivation. They scroll for it, chase it, wait for it to arrive like some divine spark that'll finally make them move. But here's the brutal truth. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a decision. Motivation feels good for a moment. It spikes. It inspires. Then it fades. You know what doesn't fade? That alarm clock at 5 a.m., that cold shower you promised yourself, that journal that's waiting to be filled. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It only cares what you do. The Stoics didn't rely on moods. They didn't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" They trained like warriors of the mind, structured, daily, intentional. You want to rebuild your life? Then stop chasing hacks and build a system. Build a routine so strong that your feelings don't matter anymore. Here's a Stoic-inspired daily routine. 5 a.m. wake up. Start before the world. Enter your day. Don't react to it. Cold shower. Teaches you to lean into discomfort first thing. No delay, no excuse. Journaling. Not for aesthetics, for clarity. Write what matters, what you're avoiding, what you'll conquer. One and thanks for watching 40 Day. Silence. 15 minutes. No phone, no noise. Just you and your thoughts. If you can't face them, you'll never control them. Single task focus block. 90 minutes. Deep work. No distractions, no multitasking, just mastery. Sound intense? Good. That's the point. Because structure is what saves you when willpower disappears. The reason most people fall off after 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, not because they're weak, but because they built everything around feelings. They said, I'll do it when I'm ready. They never created a system. They never tracked progress. They never prepared for the days motivation would fail, and those are the days that matter most. Discipline is not glamorous. It's boring, repetitive, quiet, but it transforms. Every small choice, every daily rep, every quiet act of self-respect, it builds the kind of person who no longer needs inspiration to move. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a decision. But even the most disciplined man can fail if he lives only in theory. Because wisdom without action is just a performance, and real strength only shows up in what you do, not what you say. Rule 10. Stop living in your head. Align your actions. It's easy to think, easy to plan, easy to dream about becoming stronger, calmer, more focused. But here's the brutal truth. If your thoughts don't lead to action, they're just noise. Mental masturbation. Illusions of progress. You don't fix your life by thinking, you fix it by doing. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That one sentence shatters every excuse. You can talk about Stoicism all day. Post quotes, read meditations, wear the shirt, but if your actions don't match your values, it's performance, not practice. That's why the Stoics lived by a hidden model most people ignore. Think, speak, act, reflect. It starts with intention. You think deliberately, endow as have be, then you speak only what aligns with those thoughts. Then you act on those words. And finally you reflect, did my actions match who I claim to be? But what do most people do? They think big but say little, do less, and reflect never. They say they value discipline, then hit snooze. They say they want peace, then gossip, complain, and doom scroll. They say they believe in strength, but fold under pressure the second it gets uncomfortable. It's not judgment, it's a mirror. And the Stoic path begins the moment you stop explaining your values and start embodying them. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, write down your top 3 values. Maybe it's discipline, focus, or courage. Then track your actions daily. Did your behavior match those values today? Or were they just words? It's confronting, it's uncomfortable, but it's real. Because integrity isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You don't become stoic by knowing philosophy. You become stoic by living it when no one's watching. When you say no to temptation, when you choose silence over anger, when you do the right thing even when it's inconvenient, even when it's lonely. Don't explain your values, embody them. But even alignment means nothing if you don't know what hill you're willing to die on, because a life without core values is just a reaction to pressure. That's why the next rule is about choosing your battle and guarding it with your life. Rule 11. Design your inner circle like a fortress. If your environment is weak, your willpower doesn't stand a chance. Most people don't fail because of lack of goals. They fail because they're surrounded by the wrong people. The truth is simple but brutal. Your inner circle is either shaping your future or sabotaging it. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those you can improve." That's not just advice. That's a survival tactic. Think about it. You're trying to become more focused, more disciplined, more grounded. But every weekend, you're around people who drink away their time, gossip about others, and mock anything that looks like growth. What do you think will happen to your mindset? You'll drown in their mediocrity slowly, silently, and with a smile. You need to design your inner circle like a fortress. Selective, protective, built with intention. That means you don't just let people in because of history or convenience. You guard your space like your peace depends on it, because it does. Let me give you a real story. One man, tired of the same toxic cycle, decided to leave the group chat. Literally. He stopped responding to friends who only joked about his efforts to change. He started reaching out to people one step ahead. He found a mentor, joined a mastermind, changed his environment, and in 1 year, everything changed. Not because he was smarter, but because he finally chose proximity over nostalgia. Here's your checklist to build a fortress-like inner circle. Audit your relationships every 3 months. Ask, who drains me? Who sharpens me? Upgrade your inputs. Stop hanging out just to escape boredom. Start seeking people who challenge your thinking. Curate your digital circle too. Who you follow matters. Your feed is your mental diet. And if someone mocks your habits, laughs at your goals, or rolls their eyes when you speak truth, they're not your tribe. They're weights tied to your ankles. If your friends mock your growth, they're not friends, they're anchors. But even with the right people, even with all the structure, there's still one final enemy you must face. The one inside your own mind, the fear of falling behind. And if you don't conquer that, all your growth becomes a performance. Let's end with the mindset that sets you free. Rule 12. Train yourself for chaos, not comfort. If you only train for peace, you'll break in war. And make no mistake, life is war. Not always with others, but always with resistance, uncertainty, pressure, judgment, failure. The Stoics didn't just prepare for comfort. They prepared for chaos. Because they understood one thing: what you fear will control you until you face it so many times, it gets tired of trying. This is the philosophy of being anti-fragile, a concept that goes beyond just being resilient. Resilience means you survive the storm. Anti-fragility means you grow from it. The Stoics lived this before the word existed. Seneca practiced losing everything on purpose so that loss would never master him. Marcus Aurelius led an empire while battling war, disease, and betrayal, and still wrote meditations, not excuses. So how do you become anti-fragile? You simulate chaos before it finds you. Call it chaos training. Here's how. Sit in silence in a noisy place. Learn to find stillness in the storm. Have a conversation where someone disagrees with you and stay calm. No defensiveness, no need to win. Take cold showers, speak on stage. Join a group where no one knows your name. Each experience becomes a rep for your nervous system. You're not avoiding pressure, you're conditioning yourself to walk through it with clarity. Because when you've already faced hard things on purpose, the unexpected ones don't throw you off course, they prove your training. Most people break not because life is too hard, but because they've been taught to expect it to be soft. You can't meditate your way out of every problem. You can't journal away every storm. Sometimes the best Stoic practice isn't silence, it's standing firm in the fire and choosing who you'll be inside it. If it breaks you, it still owns you. You've heard 12 brutal truths. Not the kind that feel good, but the kind that make you good. Now let's bring it all home. You don't need more motivation. You've had enough quotes, reels, and dopamine shots to last a lifetime. What you need now is brutal honesty, relentless action, and the willingness to rebuild yourself from the inside out. Because the world isn't going to bend to make your life easier. The pain won't disappear. The chaos won't stop. The setbacks won't send you an apology letter. So you have two choices. Wait for life to get easier, or train until you get stronger. And strength, real, inner, unshakable strength, isn't born in comfort. It's forged in silence, in discipline, in the daily war between who you are and who you're becoming. So, here's the final question. Which rule will you start living by today? Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Today. Because today is all you really have. And who you are when it's hard, that's who you truly are. Comment the one rule you'll start applying tomorrow, not the one that sounds easiest, but the one you know you've been avoiding. Subscribe if you want no-fluff Stoic wisdom that punches your excuses and trains your mind for real life, not fantasy. And if you're ready to take this further, watch this next. How to think like a warrior in a soft world. It'll rewire how you see yourself and how you face everything ahead.